Hey everybody, it is Rocky with WQLZ, and I am here for the second time annually talking to one of my favorite people, Angela Cummings. She's the executive director of the Illinois chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is an extremely essential organization that talks about something that plagues, I think, through 6 degrees of separation, probably most everybody.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right there. It's estimated 54% of Americans have been touched by suicide in some way. So that's the majority of us.
Right. Which is a wild statistic. And I know you have so many statistics that are great, so much knowledge that you can share about it. But first, I want to learn a little bit more about you. How long have you been with the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, Angela?
So I have been working for AFSP, that's our shortened way of saying it, AFSP for a little bit over 8 years. So I've been here quite a while, and I've seen really like a paradigm shift when it comes to talking about this subject, which is great. It's becoming more talked about, it's becoming more open, and that's fabulous. So I've seen a lot of changes in the last 8 years since I started with the organization.
Well, that's something I remember last year we kind of talked about was the stigma around it. Now we have the, 988? Is that what the new number is? Which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
You know, as little numbers as you have to dial into a phone when you're in that headspace, probably the better.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We know when somebody's in crisis, or even if you're helping someone in crisis and you're just worried, your thinking becomes kind of constricted. It's hard to remember everyday things, like simple things like giving directions to your house would be really hard for you to do if you're kind of in a crisis moment, let alone remembering all those 10 digits to call, which used to be the old number. So yeah, 988 launched. We're super proud of that. It's been getting a ton of traffic, and there's a huge call center based in Bloomington that has hundreds of people there to answer the calls and there to help people. So I hope people will just dial 988 if they're ever worried about themselves, if they're worried about a friend. It doesn't have to be you that you're calling for. You can call for a friend. You can just call and see if you think it's even worth calling. You know, they'll talk to you. You don't have to make the decision. You have to be you don't have to be the mental health professional. You can say, this is what I'm seeing. I'm really concerned. You know, what do you think my next step should be? Do you think this is serious? What would be my next steps? They're there to help. They really are.
So do you think with this now in place, we're going to hopefully, see kind of a decrease in suicide statistics?
Well, hopefully, and here's the picture. So the suicide rate had declined 2% over the previous 2 years that we have data for. So 2019 and 2020 each saw a 2% decrease, which got us to a 4% overall decrease. That was really great news, and it kind of told us that we were doing things right and that we were moving in the right direction. Well, I will say that we've had some provisional data come out from the CDC about 2021 and what that's going to look like. They're about 13 to 15 months lag time from the CDC because they take so much time to look at all the data and really compile it, analyze it before they make a report. So that's why there's that lag time. But unfortunately, we are seeing a spike. Now, that's not totally surprising because that represents the pandemic. And we're trying to remain optimistic about that. You know, a global pandemic is going to affect people's mental health in a way that you just can't even plan for, right? But when you look at those 2 previous years and you see that that number was going down, I think what it's telling us is some of the things we were doing were working, and we can get back to that. And I think we'll have a nice rebound or decline back down actually to those pre-pandemic numbers if we just, keep on going.
Well, I think, we do have work still to do in terms of I mean us as just people, to keep the conversation open and to talk about it more, because I feel like the stigma is lifting, but it isn't as open as it should be or could be.
And it depends on the demographic you're talking about. I think young people, I think our youth today they absolutely have no problem at all saying, man, my mental health is terrible today.
Yes.
Like I can't come to your party. I'm not going to track practice. And I don't know if everybody is aware, but it's a law now, and AFSP helped lobby for this law that students, elementary, middle school, and high school students get 5 excused mental health days in a school year, and they don't have to say anything except I'm taking one of my 5 mental health days. And that's great. I actually used that for my middle schooler last year. I called in and I thought before this, I probably would have made something up, like they were sick, that they had
And still there is that pressure to do so. You know what I mean?
I know.
I have a hard time being like, I just need a day to I would have a hard time saying that, and we shouldn't. But I mean, gosh, this comes from when I was in grade school. I'm 36 years old, and it wasn't a thing back then.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So this is fairly new stuff, and it's all great stuff. And this is all the kind of work that you guys do at the AFSP, right?
Right, absolutely. So we work in a couple different, areas. We are the largest private funder of suicide prevention research in the world.
Wow.
So a lot of the things that we know about that work, the treatments that we know work, the medications that have come out recently, like ketamine, a lot of those things started as AFSP funded research projects.
Yeah.
And some of those researchers got a little fund, seed money from AFSP, and then went on to get huge grants from like the National Institute of Mental Health, which then led to huge changes and developments in, mental health research and mental health treatment. So we're very proud of that. Some of the work we do, of course, is advocacy, like we were talking about, getting bills passed that are just going to help everyone. The 988, that anti-bullying legislation, the mental health days for kids, the suicide prevention numbers on the back of every student ID in high school or any school that has an ID.
That's so great.
I know. So kids, you can just flip it over and it's right there. Now it says 988, which is even easier. And then, of course, we do education programs in the community for free. Here in Illinois, all of our programming and all of our resources come without a charge. You just call me up, we'll match you up with a speaker, or we'll send you a box of resources at no cost to anyone.
Yeah.
And then, we do some survivor support activities as well for people who have lost loved ones to suicide. It's a very unique type of grief.
Right.
It comes with a lot of different types of feelings than any other kind of loss. And so we do kind of have a network of support groups throughout the state that we support. These people are individuals who run it, but we train them and we give them all the materials that they need to run these support groups.
I love it. Well, you guys have a full plate, that's for sure. But thank you for doing the work that you're doing. And one of the things that you guys do is the Out of the Darkness Walk, which is going to be happening in about less than a week here. Is that right?
5 days, Saturday.
5 days.
Yeah.
So talk to me about kind of how that came to be. I love the walk. I did it last year for the first time. I'm definitely going to be there again this year for my second year. But give us a little history on that.
Sure. So the Out of the Darkness walks are the signature fundraising event for AFSP. It's the bulk of the way that we make all of our funds, and then therefore we're able to provide all these resources and education programs for free. We do get some other types of memorial giving, but this is really the crux of it. It's our most public facing event. These events started in 2004. The first Out of the Darkness walk was in 2004. Yeah. And at that time, people were saying, nobody's going to come out and walk for suicide prevention. It's a taboo subject. People aren't going to want to show up and admit that they lost somebody or admit that they've struggled. Well, and those first walks were kind of groups of survivors, people who had lost loved ones or family or friends. But now it's grown into a much bigger event, as you probably saw, where we've got lots of people there just to honor their own mental health journey.
Yeah.
Just because they support, being proactive about mental health, educators, mental health professionals, public figures, just anybody who really believes that we can reduce the suicide rate, which we can if we just take a few simple actions, really. So.
Yeah. Well, how do you get registered for this? Is registration still open? Tell me about how you can get involved for people.
So you can pre-register online, which I recommend, because then you don't have to stand in any kind of line when you get there. You can just kind of show up and start having fun. And you can easily do that at springfieldwalk.org. Tried to make it easy there, springfieldwalk.org. You can pre-register. Nice. There's not a registration fee for any of our Out of the Darkness walks. We just found that we didn't want that to prevent anybody from coming out. Maybe they didn't have $35 or $40 to register. Yeah. So we just say, donate what you can. And it works out great. Some people come with $5. Some people post their registration, page online, and people start donating $20, $25. And before they know it, they've raised $500, because people do care about the issue. Yeah. So we just found that it works best to just kind of, registration is free. Donate what you can. Ask your friends or family to donate towards your goal. And you'll probably make more than we would have charged you for a registration fee anyway. And it's all a great cause.
Right.
So, Or, if you get to Saturday and you haven't pre-registered, no biggie. You can show up and register on site. We'll have some nice QR codes you can scan to register and donate, or you can kind of fill out a piece of paper and donate. Either way is totally fine.
I love it. Well, I do want to mention before we kind of close things out here that this is the first year that it's going to be at UIS, right?
Correct. Yes, we moved the location, and I'm really excited about it. It's a very beautiful space, and I really like the tie-in with the college students and
Yes.
young adults,
Yes.
because that demographic has really taken the brunt of the mental health challenges that came out of the pandemic. They had to go to school online. They didn't see their friends for a year and a half. And so I really feel like what the reports out of the pandemic are that this specific demographic really suffered a lot with anxiety and depression during that time. So I'm really happy to have the tie-in on a college campus, because I think, you know, we really want to focus on this. These are the people that are going to make the difference in the future, right? These are the people that are going to carry this message forward. There are decision makers, there are future policy makers, there are future business leaders. So I really think it's just a great tie-in to be having it at UIS. Beautiful campus, wonderful facility. It's going to be a great event to have it there for sure.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be a great Out of the Darkness walk. Angela Cummings, thank you so much for all of the work that you do with the AFSP and continue to do. Now, what time should we all show up on Saturday and do this walk?
Okay, so the site opens at 12:30. You can come at that time or anytime after to do some activities, to get yourself registered, to pick up your shirt. We do give out the event t-shirts to anyone who raises $150 or more. So if you do get to that 150 mark, you get to go pick up your shirt. We'll have some old shirts on sale. That's fine. There's a wall you can write on about your connection to the cause. Lots of fun activities. And then the walk step off itself will be at 2 p.m. So.
Okay, cool. Well, we will see you there. Angela Cummings, the executive director for the Illinois chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's a mouthful, but it's important. It's better than saying, I'll say that over AFSP, just so people know what we're talking about. But Angela, you are the best. Thank you. We'll see you on Saturday.
Okay, thanks.